time for another story time and thing. And this one story, I thought about it because we just ended the month of June. And back in 1980, 1981, in June, and I don't remember the month per se, but I knew it had to be during the school term because of who was part of the tragedy during that happened that one day there, you know what I mean? And this was during the heights of our socialist revolution and thing, you know what I mean? Where the young people got together and decided, hey, we want change, and since we can't seem to win an election, they had a revolution, you know, and it was an armed revolution. But there was a lot of pushback from America about us being the revolutions because having the revolution, because before that there was E.M. Gary, who was the prime minister, was, you know, friends with the government here and with the British government and other governments and stuff like that. And I remember all the stuff being said, like human rights violations, you know, all this horrible stuff that is happening to us down there, you know. And at the time, I know such things were happening, but you know, the extent of what was being said up here that was happening, I was just chilling. And granted, I was a teenager. When you're a teenager, you think you're invincible. So the rhetoric got so bad that the prime minister at the time, whose name was Morris Bishop, his party decided they were going to have a rally, and political rallies was a big thing there, where you get your supporters to come and everybody's rah rah, you know, and then carrying on, kind of like what's happening here now, or what usually happens in political parties. So I don't remember the day, but it had to have been during the week, because we started out at the Market Square and they were going to have a demonstration all the way to the Queen's Park Oval, which is now called the National Stadium. And we're going to have all the leaders come speak and things like that, you know, to get the revolutionary fervor riled up and thing. And I remember gathering there, and there was like all these different school children, you know, like uniforms everywhere, you know, pleated blue shirts, white blouses, you know, with the tie, the blue and white tie, and you know, khaki pants, blue shirts, khaki pants, red shirts. Just a lot of kids were there, which was kind of strange, but a lot of young people were there too, you know what I mean? And I remember people with guns, you know what I mean? And for some reason, we called the AK-47 AK-47. I don't know why, that's what everybody called it. You got an AK, man, you have an AK with you. Whenever I say AK, that means AK-47. And at the time, the president in America was Jimmy Carter. Or either he was the president at the time, or he had just stopped being the president. And I remember marching, everybody's marching to the Queen's Park Oval, man, and it's like a mass of people, you know. And for us, when we have these demonstrations, it wasn't like a solemn walk, it was like a festive party type thing. And I remember one of the songs they were singing, one of the chants they were chanting was tell President Carter the AK spitting fire, the AK spitting fire, the AK spitting fire. Tell President Carter the AK spitting fire. You got all these young people, and some people actually had guns with them, you know, and they had it up in the air and everybody just jumping. And I remember sweat coming down everybody's face and thing, and it was like organized chaos. And it wasn't angry. I don't think I saw anybody being angry there. There was a sort of jubilation, because here we are doing something, you know what I mean? And like I said, when you're a teenager, and I was like early to mid-teens for me, you know what I mean? And just all these people, man, just chanting, and there was all different types of chant, but that was the one that stuck with me. And I think it's because they did that in several demonstrations or rallies. But the heat, the dust coming up in the air, the ocean, because we went down a street where the ocean is, and there's like a flood type wall there. And I remember looking out in the ocean. I distinctly remember everything being gray. I don't know if it was from the dust or what it was, but everything being gay. Got to the Queen's Park Oval, and then people start all these speeches and stuff. And I don't remember what time or who was speaking at the time. And normally I want to go up front. I want to hear what's going on, see what's going on, and all of that. But for some reason, I stood to the back. You know what I mean? And of course, some idiot is shooting off pop, 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 in the air, and they were chanting and they were singing. And then somebody was giving a speech. I don't remember which minister was giving a speech. I don't think it was the prime minister, and I don't think it was the deputy prime minister. Now I could go look at the news clippings about it, but I want to tell you all this from memory. And I remember standing there. And of course, nobody knew I was there. I mean, none of my family members. I sort of did a lot of things on the sly and find myself in places where I shouldn't be. My older brother, he was out doing his thing, the one who lives on the island now. My oldest brother, I don't know where he was, but he was still on the island at the time. My mom had already left the island. Or was she still there? You see, I try to forget a lot of this stuff. But anyway, so I'm standing there, and a speech was going on. And then the weirdest thing happened. I felt like a puff of wind hit me. And it's odd. Felt the puff of wind. Heard a boom. Then the screams. And then a rush of people coming towards me because I'm facing this way and everybody's running from the explosion, you know what I mean? And I guess I just got lucky. Nobody knocked me over. People running by, bumping, you know what I mean? And me being the inquisitive type of person, I mean, I want to see what's going on, and I wasn't running from. And this is not bravery, this was stupidity. Curiosity kills the cat, they say. And there was two young ladies. They were young. I mean, one was 13 and I don't know how old the other one was. Just mangled. I never seen nothing like that before, you know what I'm saying? We've had riots and stuff like that. We've had people shot. Well, there was one that got shot, and then of course you hear rumors about stuff, you know what I mean? And these were two school kids that died that day. Somebody said that when they tried to pick one of the girls up, because people want to see what they could do, that her body folded in half, sort of, and it was just skin and stuff holding her body together. And I remember the pictures in the newspaper and the confusion thereafter. And who did it was the big question, Days later there was like news clippings of who did it. They said it was the CIA was involved. They said it was counter-revolutionaries that did it. There was even rumors that there were certain people in the government themselves that did it, just to create that fervor. But the culmination of all of this was there was a firefight, and I think it was 2 or 3 people were shot. I mean, they were riddled with bullets. And I remember seeing pictures of them in the paper, and back then it was black and white, so you know, you didn't really see the gore and the blood like now, where you know, people want to get it, and oh, everything's got to go viral, you know what I mean? And I remember, I think it was 3 of them, that they attack somewhere where they say they had guns and stuff, and there was a firefight, and those 3 young men were shot and killed, you know. I'm trying to think of how that affected me later, but when when things like that are happening, you think about it happening, and then you think about how to survive if that happens with you around it. And when you think back about it, you know, it doesn't seem real, you know. Now the thing about that there is, was there anger? I don't know. I guess there was more confusion than anger. But it's things like that that's got me doing this whole peace thing. You know what I mean? Because when you really think about it, those 2 young ladies died. Did we learn a lesson from there? I guess we sort of did. Did anything really change? Things don't really change like that. Things like that don't really change anything in the third world. It may change the human being or the individual, but then you have to struggle to survive so much that things like that just seem to come and go. Especially if you didn't know the people personally. If you know the people personally, like on an intimate level, then maybe it might be a whole different feeling that you get. But it's kind of like we just moved on. And the revolution continued for another 3 years. And there was more incidents until the invasion happened. But that was one thing that sort of impacted my teenage years right there. You know what I mean? And through it all, I keep trying to figure out if I was scared or not, and I don't remember being scared. I just don't. I remember being scared when the invasion happened, but not when stuff happened when it's between islanders. I just never feel scared, and that's kind of weird. But and that's the story of the explosion. One of many things that I'll tell stories about on here, and one of many things that has shaped, including migrating to America, that has shaped my thoughts of peace and you know, serenity, and getting to know each other, trying our best to avoid getting to that point. You know what I mean? If that could happen in a peaceful little island like mine, unless if we pay attention, it'll keep happening and keep happening. I hope you guys are doing alright out there. You're taking care of each other. You understand what I'm saying? Keeping the positive thoughts going. And we out there, we should be looking for that peace and love kind of vibe. Cliche, but you know what? It's simple. You all take care of each other, alright? Cool runnings and things.